Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Rupert McDupert here. Have you ever had a job? Me neither. But if you did have a job, would you enjoy it? Honestly, it's kind of a coin flip. Approximately 50% of people in America, according to this Pew research, enjoys their work, and the other 50% doesn't. It's kind of like split down the middle. So if you, viewer, are not satisfied with your job, I'm really sorry. I'm not really either. Not frankly. But being satisfied with your job and actually liking your job are two totally different things, I think. For instance, how many of you would do your job even if you weren't paid to do it? Well, according to probably the same Pew Research study, I didn't really check, only 20% of people actually report loving their jobs. That's like 70 million people out of 359 million people. Here's what a picture of that looks like. So if most people wouldn't do their job unless they were being paid to do it, why do we have so many video games about work? I mean, we got Power Wash Simulator, Farming Simulator, we got PC Mechanic Simulator, we got so many different simulator games that are just doing a manual labor. There's a trucking one where you're just a trucker. And this one that captured my attention. It's called Retro Rewind. It's still 8 a.m., so we're making really good time today. Look, I'm not trying to speedrun this game, but the music is making me want to. Is this how I hire disaffected teenagers? Movie bundles, 10 random movies. I get a bunch of them. What do we got here? The Skull's Last Heartbeat and Inheriting the Tomb. Are these like randomly generated? How are these being made? The Sinful Sausage? Brother. Dr. Lane's Chosen Clairvoyant. Hey, we've seen this doctor before. Dr. Lane has a whole series. I think we got a bunch of his movies. Oh God, I'm gonna love this. I can already tell. What Remains of the Doctor. Oh my God. Well, we actually have to put this over here. That's so crazy that they would switch genres. This one's clearly a mystery, The Skull's Last Heartbeat. I mean, it says drama. This is a mystery. Dr. Lane's Chosen Clairvoyant, sticking with the mystery theme, right? Dr. Lane he's a man of science. He doesn't believe in that hocus pocus mumbo jumbo. And then they switch it up on you, and they release the third movie in the anthology as a horror, dipping all the way into horror, the horror genre. What Remains of the Doctor. I would watch that. Retro Rewind is an experience about working in a video store. In this game, you actually spend a lot of your time making making change for people and stocking shelves. I don't know why. I don't know who would enjoy this. The core loop of this game is reflective of the same real-world dread that I feel when engaging with the monotonous effort of labor. You stock the shelves, make the sale.
Scan the videos back into the system, stock the shelves, make the sale, put the videos back into the system.
You know what I mean? It's just never-ending tedium, you feel me? So why do I fucking love it so much? I mean, even after a long day of actual work, all I want to do is come home and see if I can get my hands on some other Dr. Lane movies or look for holographic videotapes in the back alley, but with the scary guy in the back alley, or even just like pick new colors for my rental store. It's just a really fun time. Yeah, I've just been really stoked to play it, honestly. Save your progress with the time clock. Oh, I love that. You have to go to a place to save. And something I miss about old games is you couldn't just save anywhere, and so your mom would like flicker the lights down and on while you're playing video games in the basement, and she'd be like, "Come on, time to like come upstairs for dinner or whatever," and you'd be like, "I'm just trying to get to a save point." You can't just save whenever you want. I have to get to a special spot. That's what you would say. You didn't have to save. And we're gonna call this McDupert Cassettes. We started as a music store. That's why we just kept the name. Retro Rewind is a newish game developed by Bloodpack Studios. These guys have one other game on the books, and it's okay. I mean, it looks okay. I don't know anything about it, really. I just know that you cut off your fingers in it. It's kind of gross. So yeah, this game released on March 17th, 2026. And you might be saying to yourself, hey, wasn't that only a few days ago? And you'd be right. That was only a few days ago. That's the kind of lightning quick content drops you get here at the Rupert McDuper channel.
Hi, Rupert McDuper with McDuper Marketing. How are you doing?
And they made it in Unreal Engine. The aesthetic is well, a 90s video game store, and it does a really good job of conveying that, actually. As someone who's been inside a Blockbuster while also being inside the 90s, I can confirm that the experience is pretty dang accurate. I mean, I don't really ever remember seeing a slushie machine in the Blockbuster or like Family Video, but maybe you do. Maybe you do. But you know, the carpet, the decorations, the shelving, like the plastic cases, the sounds of like even like the registers and stuff, everything just really lends itself to that 90s aesthetic. And it's clearly trying to capture something very intentionally. And I super appreciate that. And I think it's exactly this aesthetic layer that piques the interest, or at least piques my interest. My interest is absolutely piqued. In modern game development and in a lot of different art forms, the goal is believability. Like sometimes it's a lot of times it's in animation. A lot of times it's like the characters, maybe it's in the character's facial detail or in the character's facial expressions. Sometimes it's in just the subtle little tricks to life that you notice when you're an artist, like the subtle way a car sort of wiggles after somebody slams the door shut on it. And sometimes it's like a technical thing. Sometimes it's like we gotta figure out how to get this robot's feet to track to the surface of the planet that they're on. So we need to write some code for that. We need to like figure out how to make that believable. And as far as I'm concerned, this game is engaged in that very same process. And it really just has a tactile nature to it. And I think a lot of it is in the sound design. You can throw the VHS tapes around, and it makes like it just makes a really accurate noise. It sounds like a full VHS cassette, like box clattering. And it lends itself to the evocation of those memories. And as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what art is supposed to do. So yeah, these guys, Blood Pact, they're a 3-person team. There's a programmer guy, there's an art guy, and then there's a music guy. The programmer and the art guy, I mean, all of their stuff is going to be on display throughout the whole video, but let's talk a little bit about the music guy. That's who he is, and here's his Bandcamp, so check that out. But he's made a couple tracks for this game, probably like 8 to 10 tracks for this game that are all, they're really fitting for the game. So they're all very synth heavy. They have some really good textures and stuff, and you know, some good melodies. There's some other like drum beats and other patterns, other musical patterns that are just reminiscent of the times. It does kind of stray a little bit. It sounds to me, I'm not the music guy. I am a music guy, but I'm not the music man. But there's a lot of like, it sounds like the 80s. It sounds a little more like the 80s to me because of all the synth stuff. I was expecting some like grunge rock or something to really push the 90s vibe. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, labor. Have you ever heard of too much of a good thing is not a good thing? Or something like that? Well, it's true. We are complex beings who nobody really understands. But one thing we do understand is that we don't work to live, we live to work, or something like that. I don't super understand what I mean by that yet, but Fyodor Dostoevsky once said, wait, what's he say? Shower upon him every earthly blessing, drown him in a sea of happiness, give him economic prosperity such that he should have nothing else to do but sleep, eat cakes, and busy himself with the continuation of his species. Even then, out of sheer ingratitude, man would play you some nasty trick. He would even risk his cakes and would deliberately desire the most fatal rubbish, simply to introduce into all this positive good sense his fatal fantastic element. It is just his fantastic dreams, his vulgar folly, that he will desire to retain, simply in order to prove to himself, as though that were so necessary, that men are still men, and not the keys of a piano. What he means is we're not built to just be comfortable all the time. Like, we're built for agency. If it was even possible for some sort of system to give out to everybody everything that they needed all the time, he's saying that mankind would find a way to destroy that system just to prove that they're in control of their own fate. And it's not just philosophers that understand this. Ancient people knew this already. Mankind was made to toil outside the Garden of Eden. The Mesopotamian gods created humans specifically for bearing the burdens of the gods or bearing the burdens of labor. Sisyphus was forced to endlessly push the boulder up the hill. And psychologists understand this too, and we call this self-determination theory. Self-determination theory is a framework for understanding human motivation, focusing on the intrinsic drive to grow and satisfy three basic psychological needs. That's the need for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Autonomy, the need to feel in control over one's actions, behaviors, and destiny. Competence, the desire to master tasks, build skills, and feel effective in one's environment. And relatedness, the need to feel connected, supported, and to have a sense of belonging with others. You know, multiplayer would have been pretty cool for this game. Now I think about that. Your average 9 to 5 usually lacks one or more of these, and if you're lucky, and a lot of jobs don't have any of them. So with all of the above explained, is it really a question why I like Retro Rewind so much? Why so many people like this genre of game? You know, a lot of people think that this kind of game is slop, and maybe they're right. You know, that's kind of a subjective term, but I don't know, something about this just speaks to me. And you know what? I choose to boot up the game and I choose to play it. If I ever get bored of it, I will just stop playing, and I will get bored of it. But for right now, I want to invest my time in learning the game. I want to invest my time in getting better at it and achieving the things inside the game that I want to achieve, like having a cool video store. And most importantly, I want to feel like I'm making a connection with other people. And that's why I'm here making this video about this cool little game that I found that I really like. But anyway, that's just what I think. Why don't you tell me what you think down below in the comments? Leave me a like, leave me a subscribe. I have been Rupert McDupert. I have approximate knowledge of many things, and I hope you have a good time.